going to kick off, as always, with the most important part. It's the Indie of the Week. And this week's indie is a very small indie. It's so indie, it's almost not an indie yet, but it is an indie. But we're getting ahead of the curve on this one. You'll see why, because there's some interesting bits and pieces. So this is Temple West, out of Texas.
Oh,
yeah, like one of those cowboys from the cowboy things. And it is a very, very small. It's a 2-man operation. Just a couple of wargamers who want to do stuff.
Oh, right, that's cool.
Nice.
So they were a year old. Little babies that they are, in November last year. So
right.
a lot of this stuff that you're going to see isn't out yet, but is coming shortly. But the first year they spent doing what are called the Legends Pacts for RelicBlade. Sean Sutter. So there's a couple of different ways you can get into the Legends Packs. You can buy the packs themselves, or you can get the individual figures.
Nice.
So the packs are sort of little 4 thinged packs. I'm going to call them thinged because they're not always people.
Oh.
Are these like the heroes that they wanted to play that Metal King don't currently make? Kind of,
yes.
Yeah.
So every time Sean's done a Kickstarter, there's like a pledge level where people can have a miniature they want made. So if you pledge at the, I would like, or not a miniature made, but a character made. So you go, I'd like to get a squirrel tree singing ninja. And they go, yeah, fine. And then Sean does a bit of artwork and then writes up the stats and makes the character cards. So you can get the cards, you can have the stats, you've got everything you need to play, but they've never made a miniature.
Okay.
And so what Temple of the West did was get in contact with them and go, okay, I'd really like to do the miniatures for them. So if we pop open the singles, you'll be able to see them. And Sean went, yeah, that's fine. So these are all based on Sean's artwork.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Which
That's
means
great.
those people can now get semi-official models.
Porter McScotch.
Why not? Why not have a Porter McScotch?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because RelicBlade is so heavily narrative and story based.
Yeah.
Sean, the reason Sean hasn't done sort of official models for it is because they're not part of his story, and they're not taking the story in the direction that he envisaged. But they're an interesting little side thing. So these can be used for RelicBlade or could be used in any other game you want, really. And you can see there some of Sean's artwork for Porter sitting down,
the sculpt next to it,
and then the sculpt beside it. And this is what they spent their first year doing, essentially filling in the gaps for all those people who get into RelicBlade or have backed the Kickstarters, or possibly even have made these or got these models as part of the Kickstarter invented, but they've had to find their own things up until now. That looks hauntingly familiar. I discovered this. Was it last week? I discovered that this was from the Dark Souls game, maybe the week before. I had no idea.
It does look Dark Souls, yeah.
It's got that big head.
Big
head.
It would be more Dark Souls if it was lying dead.
Yeah.
Well,
accurate.
True.
You always put it on the floor.
He's wearing a Star Trek comms badge as well. That's
Oh yeah.
Beam me up.
Crossover.
Get me the hell out of here. I've died all the time. I'm not even wearing a red jumper.
It's the way to do it.
They've got a lot of character in these
games,
haven't they?
So far you can see there's about 16, I think, and some interesting ones, because obviously these were just people going, well, presumably this is either sisters or a pair of people who wanted to be made up into characters in some way, because I've seen Mantic have done something similar in the past. And so you get these really unusual and unique characters that potentially games designers or writers possibly wouldn't have thought of, because it's not part of their vision, so they wouldn't have thought of putting something like this in. So it's great that people can actually get their hands on these.
It's a very cool idea.
Unique games, and you can see there the little bit of fluff behind it and the little bit of rules as well.
Show us the hairy one.
The hairy one.
The hairy one.
This one.
The
The Trojan-looking ape.
Yeah.
I dig that.
That's great. That's fab.
A distinct choice of headwear, that's for sure.
Yeah. I love the blades on the hand. That's what makes it for me as well.
If you're going to go punch daggery with your man ape, then always have twin blades. That way the wound doesn't close properly. You can really inflict some heavy damage. Imat has a devastating fighting claw. His unique ability, Sarcophagi, where he can pick up relics or treasures from within a range of 3.
Nice.
He bounce around. He's not my favourite bouncing around person for stealing shit. That has got to be, where is he? There he is. Rolf Dwarven Gadgeteer.
That's
He has got a specially extendable staff.
Of course.
I suppose like the Acrobrat from Dungeons and Dragons. Remember the old cartoon? Her staff would occasionally extend, and a grappling hook, thus allowing him to leap about the place, pogoing around and grabbing bits and pieces from wherever it is.
Nimble.
He's all about stealing stuff.
Can't help but look at it and think he's breaking wind for extra lift.
I imagine
He's just at the peak moment.
He is a dwarf after all. That's how you gain elevation and extra height.
Rolf is the sound that his ass cheeks make when he...
That is a thing of beauty. I'm so glad you shared it with us.
You've just destroyed my brain. You've taken that too far.
Live on about here for you there, Ben. Picking the boxes this episode of literary techniques.
And a couple of barbarians. Again, that... unusual fist weapons. I would like to imagine he doesn't have any hands.
Yeah.
Flipping Edward dagger hands, this guy.
Yep.
That's going to make going to the toilet very interesting.
Yes. The whole process.
Wiping your backside afterwards is going to be an issue.
There's just shredded toilet paper everywhere.
These have all been sculpted by Stavros, who's done stuff for Footsore. In the past, so
I like that. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Kind of like the martial arts moves, arms kind of thing. That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, I thought they were like ghost arms. I'm going to stick multiple arms.
Could go either way, but I imagine it's like, part of the overall artwork.
Some kind of spirit thing going on. That's really neat. I like that one. Yeah.
Where are we there?
Very cool.
You're not telling us who this is. No. No, we just have to imagine who lived the word Weaver.
What's this thing? It looks like a helicopter blade. What is that?
On the top left.
I think it's just it's like a bit of his
top right.
Oh, it's a bit of robe.
Bit of robe lashing out.
Yeah. Because it's got like little prayer runes and stuff on it. Things.
All that movement, yeah.
Like a stole. Or like a helicopter blade. You can place this arm here with another one. Unable to get through doors.
Go gadget.
And isn't that what we want to see?
Yeah. That's a really nice little selection of stuff there. That's really
What else do they do? What else do they do? Do they do anything other than these? Do they do other ranges of things?
Yeah, so there's a couple of others. Let's have a quick look at little
dragons.
Tiny dragony things are always good. Tiny dragony things.
Mother of dragons.
Yep. Yeah. So if I kill that off and we go and have a look at Last Day's Survivors. Which is by the delightful Ash. So this is a set of 3. As you can see there, survivors of the zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, based on the artwork. At least one half of Temple West
that's awesome.
has worked or is friends with Ash via Confrontation, which we'll get to in a little bit. But you can see there the original artwork and then the gun-toting waitress.
Yeah.
That's fab.
And I quite like the rockabilly look.
Yeah.
This mechanic.
That hair is fantastic.
It screams Billy Joel.
Yeah.
It does a bit, yeah.
He's looking for an uptown girl that won't attempt to buy a neck out. But if ever there's a character that you need to have on a tabletop, it's a luchador with a shotgun.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could drop him into a game of Batman as well.
Yeah, you could actually.
With that look.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's really cool. I like that they've gone with this idea of we'll try and fill in the gaps for games, like doing obviously the stuff for RelicBlade in this as well. So you can have you could almost use these as like iconic characters, sort of dramatis persona in your games and stuff. You run into them in your adventures.
These are resin.
And then
the last ones
metal or resin, or are they?
Metal, although they do some things in resin.
Right, okay.
Or at least they're planning on doing some things in resin. So I don't know if they've got them out there in the wildy wilds yet. The other bits and pieces they do, we'll start with this one, which is out, and then we'll get into the stuff that isn't. I think that's probably the best way. So...
Is this like a recasting original, or is this like additional Conquest minis?
These are additional. So this one is based off Paul Bonner's artwork.
Amazing artwork, yeah.
Now, if this is America only, there is a European, you can get the link off the front page anyway, there's a European company that does large miniatures and busts, are supplying these, which means you won't get the card and you won't get the dice. D6 hit point tracker. Or dice. It's just a dice. Don't pick it up, guys. Yeah, Journeyman miniatures, there you go.
Sorry.
Don't worry, the fact it's only 200 in the initial run, presumably they will do more runs later on. Also, I've already ordered mine on pre-order, so it doesn't matter to me if you go there now. I'm not going to miss out.
There's the idea that they're making new miniatures for the sort of fan version of Confrontation.
Yeah.
Then is that the
so one half of the I think it's Tyler and Kyle are the guys who run Temple West, and Kyle got into Confrontation after Confrontation was no longer a thing, and he got into it by the Facebook group. So the Confrontation 3.5, which was run by Ash, started by Ash, and sort of had been sitting stagnant for a while, and he got chatting to him and went, well, you know, could you make me a moderator and admin? I've got plans. I've got interesting things that we could do, and it's kind of pushed it in America into being a sort of more thriving, vibrant group. And part and parcel of that is things like this then that they've come into afterwards. So this is based on Paul's stunning artwork. I can't wait to get that.
I mean, I really like the face. I really like the facial expressions. Minotaurs usually look so angry and aggressive.
Yeah,
that one's really different.
He's a more placid cow-looking thing. He can still mess you up, mind you. Don't worry.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be on the opposing side of that, but
900% will mess you up. So he's in pre-order. Actually, I think they've started shipping the American stuff. The European is coming shortly. Nice. But there's a couple of other ranges which we'll probably see better on the Instagrammage. So Clash of Spears. Obviously, the initial Clash came out a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 2 years. But for Rise of Eagles, Stavros has sculpted command sets for 3 of the factions, so Dacians, Romans, and Spartan Slave Revolt. And so
these are official?
Yep, these are official.
Nice.
We'll start with Confrontation. So the Minotaur is based on Paul Bonner's work. However, they've also been working with Gary Chalk for Confrontation Continuum.
Oh man, I love the work of Chalk. He's amazing. Yeah.
So this is going to be massive. They've been working on this for about 6 to 8 months, maybe. And we're going to be getting this in. I'm on that like a car.
That's lovely. Look at the teddy bear on the side. That's fantastic.
The Curric Guard didn't have a standard, so I've got them all. Which means I've got a musician, I've got a commander, I've got the captain card, but there was no standard bearer originally from Confrontation. And
there we go then. Yeah.
So they're also going to be, through the Confrontation community, statting these up. So in some cases they can be used for Confrontation and things like the Confrontation Club, and they've got an app. So we talked about it previous weekender. You'll be able to use these. A lot of this stuff is based on Cadwallon RPG that was illustrated and done by Mr. Chalk. So it'll be fascinating to see where this goes. Some of these have hit the green stage, but there's a whole wealth of stuff, including that delightful character there. The head of it all.
It's really nice because because nowadays, but because of the way that things have advanced when it comes to sculpting and creating miniatures. All that detail from the artwork can find its way into the range, which is really nice.
So they are working. There's Cal Gibson. They are working on a beta rule for Confrontation Continuum. I don't know how far away that will drift from 3.5 and from what people are currently playing, or whether or not it will be something that is just essentially a new version for people who don't have the original rulebooks and aren't just looking for lots of erratas and PDFs to download. It'll just be sort of combined. There's the legend himself. Hello. Drawing away. But here we start to see some of the stuff. So they're planning on launching this sometime early this spring, summer.
Right.
I don't know whether this is going to come straight to the web store or go maybe via Kickstarter. But you can see that they've already got quite a lot of not just concept artwork done in illustrations, but they've got some of the miniatures themselves sculpted.
That's gorgeous. That.
When you say launching, is it going for a Kickstarter, or are they allowed to Kickstarter? Like,
they haven't said, so I'm not 100% certain either way. Let me just get back up here to some of the minis.
Because I would assume that obviously they're not the holders of the Confrontation license.
They're not the holders of the license, which means I can't imagine. But then currently the holders of the license are going through French court at the moment to try and explain why they siphoned off several £1 million worth of people's money and pissed it up the wall. So that's a sort of grey area. The fact that this is a fan-made stuff, but it's based on Gary's artwork, means it's, that's fine. They can produce it, and it could go to Kickstarter. The fact that it's got the Confrontation name attached, it's not just Confrontation Continuum, means
might be part
probably
of
get round it that way.
Third party license.
But
those are nice. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
Stavros sculpted the original ones
for
the original Kickstarter, and they were scaled to match Victrix.
Yeah.
I imagine these are exactly the same, since he's done the sculpts on these as well. The masters were produced at the start of February and are due to come onto the website for sale shortly. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks,
those are very good.
People will be able to get their hands on them. So you've got your Germanic command, you've got your Dacians, you've got your various commanders, heroes, standards that you need when you're playing the game. And of course, if you're getting involved with the Spartacus Slave Revolt, if you want to do your, you want to do your servile wars, then you can get some gladiators. And finding good gladiators in 28mm is
quite hard, because most of them are really, really old.
Yes, they have a really chunky look to them.
Yeah. I really love those oversized helmets.
Most of them are old foundry ones.
Yeah.
Did you know why they put those helmets on them? It's because they didn't want them to be able to see as much.
Right.
Because normally what would happen is you'd have a gladiator who was heavily armored, like him, and then you'd have the other one with the net and the fork. And because the other guy was
to fight.
Because the other one was heavily armored, they wanted to give him a disadvantage, and so that's why they gave him that horrible, huge helm with all the little holes in it, so he couldn't really see exactly what he was looking at.
Good luck.
That in and of itself is good, clean family fun.
Oh, they're doing stuff for Daniel Mercy.
They are doing stuff for Daniel Mercy.
Getting some noises out of Ben this section. We are.
Oh my God, those King Arthur models are nice. Anyway,
that's beautiful.
So this guy, Goblin Samurai, obviously to match him with the Goblin Samurai and feudal ninjas that came out for Confrontation. So that's always good. But you were saying, are they resin or are they metal? This one is specifically going to be cast in resin because he's top heavy, and and if you did it in metal, it would be a pain in the backside to all concerned. So I think they're choosing the material based on how beneficial it is. It's not just a case of we're doing everything in metal where there's a reason to do something in resin, they'll do it in resin. And yes, you did spot they are working on the Knights of the Round Table. These are due to launch in spring as well, so I think a few weeks away. There's going to be 15 of these.
Nice.
And Dan has been advising on the concept art. So they have a more historic feel with a slight fantasy twist. So it kind of works for several of his rule sets. So he's done Arthur and Merlin. He's done Dragon Rampant and Lion Rampant.
Well, we're getting the new version of Lion Rampant later this year as well. So.
Yeah, Lion Rampant 2 is on.
Are they updating Dragon Rampant at the same time, or is it coming later?
It may come later, if at all.
They're doing a sci-fi version later this year as well. So,
are they?
Yeah, they're doing Xenos Rampant.
The details.
So there we have Mr. Arthur King.
That's really cool.
And Gwyn.
Hey, go back a bit. The King Arthur guy, he looks a lot like the guy from Indiana Jones when he's in.
He does the Templar.
That makes sense.
Wisely.
Poorly.
Merlin.
Oh, that's a nice Merlin.
I can't say Merlin without trying to do it like John Hurt now. That's
right.
Merlin. Although my favourite is still the Sam Neill version. So.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, I love the Sam Neill version. It's amazing.
not the Merlin from Excalibur.
No.
I like the Merlin from Excalibur.
It's what I just said.
My favourite Merlin.
Nicol Williamson is probably the closest to be born where Merlin was from.
My favourite Merlin's from the Disney movie.
Pretty good.
But there we have that. That will be the initial release for Knights of the Round Table.
Ooh.
So
you've got all the knights there. You've got looks like Mordred and Morgana.
Yep.
Oh man, that's nice.
I particularly like assuming that is the Lady of the Lake, and I imagine it would be. She's carrying a sword, but the veil on her is really nice.
That's really
it's
cool,
a veil. I thought she was coming up out of the lake, and someone had chucked their flipping dish rag in, and she just come up under it. Really unfortunate.
Loving scimitars. There's no basis for democratic society.
Blind tipping is seriously bad here in this point.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
But so they're only a few sort of weeks away as well.
I am on board.
And
there's that dude. Yeah.
I love his belly.
Yeah.
Really belly much more here.
They've all got the really awesome chin whiskers as well, based on Gary's artwork, which I am 100% behind.
Really awesome range.
That's great.
Yeah. So like I say, what they have out already is the RelicBlade stuff and the Minotaur and the Survivors from Last Days. Mm-hmm. But they have big plans this year with Daniel's range, the Clash stuff, and Confrontation Continuum, which they have been working like madmen behind the scenes, getting everything sort of prepped and ready.
I was going to say, this has crept up on me, yeah. So.
I've been spamming F5 on their site on a semi-regular basis since I discovered this last year. Yeah. It's like, faster, now please. But yeah, an interesting little
very much
slice into a company that's so fresh. Smell the new smell of all their molds and miniatures. But definitely I think people should take a look at them and sort of get ahead of the curve on this one. Because it seems to be really rocking in there. And the guys themselves, from the bits and pieces I've heard from them, Kyle was on the Dead Games podcast, sadly stopped at the moment, but it was really interesting listening to him talk about, just the fact that there were a couple of guys who just really like gaming, and that's the only reason Temple West exists. It's like, really like
passion driven.
We want the miniatures for these games that we're interested in, and we can't get them anywhere else. And then they've just started, reaching out to various people to fill in the blanks or to add to ranges, or in one case, reinvigorate a whole game system with a bunch of new figures as well.
Oh, fantastic idea.
So there we go. If you're interested, check them out. If you're not interested, how very dare you? But you'll find out more, because I will not let this one rest anytime.
Who's your favourite Merlin as well? There we go.
Yeah, well, clearly everybody's going to say it's Nicol Williamson from Excalibur. You...
Sam Neill.
Child. Sam Neill can't even pronounce Maeve, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And he's from Northern Ireland. He should know. He should not be pronouncing Meb.
It's definitely the one from The Sword and the Stone, the Disney movie. He is the most epic magic duel with that witch.
With that witch, that is the most amazing magic duel ever caught on camera.
That's it.
True. Nothing's come close since. Not even the Scarlet Witch and what you call him, Doctor Strange.
Detection.
Not a single snake in a basket there anyway. Anyway, we're going to have a quick swish, and when we come back, we'll be looking at this week's news.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.